What's up, comrades? So, in keeping with the trend of talking about how to unfuck DSA, we've got a where the fuck did Gumbo go? Oh, here they are. We've got a couple comrades from the Springs of Resolution, Slate. Note I said Slate, not caucus. This is a cross tendency team, reading their words here, that coalesced through years of struggle, working together to cut through organizing silos and synthesize, I love that word, a practical, forward facing revolutionary program. We are planting deep roots in our local communities as willing partners in struggle and building strong chapters bound by shared, coherent national standards that can fight alongside our neighbors all year long. Just from that paragraph alone, you should like Springs of Revolution. But we can let the two comrades here explain themselves. So, Comrade Andrew and Gumbo, welcome to the Gang of Four.
Welcome, y'all.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Also, one of the other members of the Gang of Four, Skrilla, is currently at work, and Comrade Tex is cheerfully standing in for him.
Hey.
All right. So yeah, y'all came in pretty hot, comrade.
Gumbo died again.
Oh, poor Gumbo died. Jesus Christ, that's morbid. Can now we stop talking about death for 5 seconds?
Okay.
So
Only five.
They came in pretty hot. They've got several NPC candidates. You got Francesca, Louisa, Andrew, who was here, Nell, and Ahmed, the OG. So, 4 versus 1. This is not a struggle session, y'all. If there's any group in DSA that Liberation should get along with, it Springs of Revolution. They're pretty much us, but they've been around for longer in terms of like individual membership. And yeah, there's a certain Russian missing here. We don't work for the Russians. We don't have Russians here. Russians are banned from Liberation Caucus.
That's a good point. They either become Appalachian or we don't accept them.
Or get us in fucking trouble. They don't take money from the Russians. We don't take money from anybody but the people that are stupid enough to subscribe to us on Twitch. Anyways, so Andrew, like, what triggered the creation of this slate? Like, why right now?
I think right now is like really this like Springs of Revolution slate. Myself, Ahmed, Nell, Luisa, Francesca have all kind of been working together over the years. Like some of our platform recognizes is some of this, like who we are, grows from the 2023 anti-Zionist slate. Ahmed had run for NPC in 2023. Myself, as a member of Denver DSA, I worked really closely with Ahmed. Him and I both started the Colorado Palestine Coalition in Denver, and had done a lot of organizing in the chapter together. And he had a lot of support from Denver because he was a well-loved comrade. Just in many people's experience, if you go and look at everyone that's still on Twitter, if you go and look at the like Springs of Revolution Twitter, SOR4 DSA, and look at Ahmed's specific candidate profile, just go look at all the quote tweets of like all the people that have shared like glowing reviews of him and his organizing. As you mentioned in the beginning, Springs of Revolution were not a slate. We're more of, I would say, like a unity formation, cross-tendency.
Not a caucus, you're slate.
Yeah, not a caucus, slate. Cross-tendency, unity formation, primarily that has primary goals of building DSA to be like a grassroots, member-led mass organization that all of our organizing is rooted heavily in the coalitions that we built and work with directly in our local communities, as well as working with our local communities on some pretty foundational unifying principles of anti-Zionism, anti-imperialism, abolition, and immigrant protection, which a lot of that is highlighted through our slate. So a lot of this had grown from the work that Ahmed and other members of the anti-Zionist slate had done in 2023. Obviously, when Ahmed got elected the NPC, he pulled in some people to help him work on some pretty foundational things in national DSA, I think one of the more important things is at the last convention in 2023, obviously a real sore spot for DSA that they dechartered the BDS working group, which led to a lot of the members of the BDS working group leaving and then forming the Palestine Solidarity Working Group, which I myself am a member of. That happening in August, just months before October 7th. Obviously, in the wake of October 7th, Ahmed and many people that are on the Sprigs of Revolution really held the line in ensuring that we didn't have to exist in a socialist political organization that condemned Hamas, and really ensured that we held the lines and standed firm in solidarity with Palestinian resistance, and have since done a lot of organizing. I myself did. I led our big Stop the JNF or Shut Down JNF micro campaign here. For anyone that's not familiar, the JNF is the Jewish National Fund, which is one of the oldest Zionist organizations who explicitly what they do today is dispossess Palestinians of their right of return and land by planting trees on the land. They were instrumental in creating the village files that led to the systemic categorization of specific Palestinian villages across historic Palestine, which would then be used by Zionist militias in the Nakba. So I led the Colorado Palestine Coalition, and also in the wake of October 7th to really ensure that my local chapter was standing firm on the lines of solidarity with Palestine. My chapter also passed a statement that I helped author in solidarity with Palestine, and that led to our chapter being one of the chapters in the country that had the fastest in consistent membership growth, because a lot of people in the Denver metro area were looking for a political organization that actually stood 10 toes down for Palestine, that they could organize with.
Okay, so you distinguished yourself in the rest of the comrades in the Springs of Revolution State slate through actual concrete principle organizing around around Palestine, which we agree is the compass around which the socialist movement should point. Because what a lot of people understand is that you can have all the free buses you want, you can have city-run grocery stores, you can have free subways, you can have all these social democratic reforms, but if they're purchased at the expense of the blood of our fellow workers around the world, then you want to vomit them up. When the people of the rest of the world eventually win and throw off the American shackles and chains, they're going to look at us and be like, what the fuck did you guys do? Y'all live here. Y'all have contradictions with your own ruling class. Y'all ain't did shit. Why? Because you're a bunch of lazy dumb fuckers. Of course, it's a bit more complicated than Americans being a bunch of lazy dumb fuckers, but that's why we have to be, as you said, 10 toes down for our comrades in the global South. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're not socialists of any type. We're certainly not communists. We're just social chauvinists who want more free shit for whitey. And it's game over for that shit, because if the third world frees itself, there's not going to be any opportunity to get free shit for whitey, because social democracy in the imperial core can only exist through the blood of the global working class. As a matter of fact, Cecil Rhodes, a noted British imperialist, said himself that if they didn't have the empire, they would have more class struggle at home. It was a sort of a pressure valve. So if you got a bunch of angry-ass dudes in the East End, send them to Rhodesia, send them to India, send them to Australia, where they can play the Lord. So that cannot be allowed. That's why DSA has to actually be serious about combating imperialism in more than name. We have to concretely be an actual threat to empire. Otherwise, we're not a socialist organization. I'll just leave it at that. So you comrades have a slate of resolutions that you are.
Sorry, Peter. I just wanted to add on real quick on the points of internationalism. That's all of the members of the slate. That is our our top of the line unifying principles. Principled internationalism is with Palestine as our compass is really the guiding first principle. Which majority of members of the slate have held leadership or done phenomenal work within the National International Committee. I myself have done some work in the National International Committee, but more I built our local Palestine working group into an internationalism committee and led the political education on various topics. We've done Palestine 101s, Palestine 201s. I ran a candidate's a Denver DSA member who was running for state office, former Representative Tim Hernandez. I connected with him, and he had presented multiple times a presentation on the Chicano movement and its connection to Palestine to our community. We've done, I think I mentioned we've also done a presentation on the anti-Deutsche movement. So really solidifying internationalist education and solidifying internationalism as a core pillar in Denver DSA, as a foundational component of socialism, because all socialism is international. So I really just wanted to highlight that a lot of leaders, we have on the slate, we have a lot of great leaders like Luisa now, who have done great international work with the National International Committee, held positions of leadership there, as well as the other, I think a majority of the slate all being immigrants or from the global south, having actual lived experience of what it's like to live under the boot of empire, and now here taking leading the struggle here in the States to push back against the belly of the beast.
Okay, that's dope. So basically, if we're going to call you one thing, it's the anti-imperialist caucus. Well, anti-imperialist slate. Because y'all are not. Why aren't y'all a caucus anyways?
We have. I think part of it is we're not a caucus. I'm happy to be corrected by other Springs of Revolution members, but I see us as kind of a convention formation. Obviously, it's a little bit easier when you come together with a group of comrades that you've been doing work over the course of time to develop a platform with. We have representation from, I think, Emerge, Communist Caucus, Red Star, MUG, and then a majority of the members of people that have done work in SOR are uncaucused, and it's all people that have had a lot of people that just have had the pleasure of being able to be brought into organizing more deeply through being connected with Ahmed. He's connected many of the people in DSA across the country to the uncommitted movement, the No Votes for Genocide movement, pulling them into those campaigns and develop leaders out of those campaigns that just kind of rolled into the continuous work that we did, helping Ahmed on the NPC. I can't fully speak for Ahmed, but I know he probably wouldn't necessarily want to turn it into a caucus. I'm hit or miss on caucuses, but I do really like the aspect of we are a unity formation of a lot of what people I guess would say the left-wing caucuses of DSA that have struggled together to develop a platform for DSA on some incredibly important principles with Palestine as our compass.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also think I know Ahmed has some connections to PYM and stuff too, and I know DSA has in general been a little hostile to them. How do you think that can change over time?
Yeah, Ahmed has been a huge player in making a lot of the connections to the Palestine Solidarity Movement for DSA. He has been able to get us speaking spots when DSA otherwise was not invited to some of those. I know for a lot of chapters, Ahmed and Francesca, as well as some others, have really led helping chapters institute anti-Zionist resolutions in their chapters, which are similar to the anti-Zionist resolution for a fighting anti-Zionist DSA that we've presented to convention this year, that really solidifies anti-Zionist standards and guidelines for elected to officials to abide by, as well as really projecting to the broader public that Zionism is not a political tendency that will ever find a home ever again in DSA. In I think 56 chapters across the country now have passed some form of anti-Zionist resolution that is similar to our For a Fighting anti-Zionist DSA resolution. And Palestine Youth Movement has been more willing in opening up relationships with chapters that have passed those resolutions. For I think I'm fairly certain East Bay, that's how they have like resolved the tensions with PYM there that have been understandably a lot of Palestine organizations and grassroots Palestine organizations being frustrated with DSA, and especially because of positions that electeds have taken. Passing those anti-Zionist resolutions have really shown that certain local chapters are really willing to like struggle alongside with the rest of the Palestine movement.
Right. I mean, even I'm in the East Bay chapter, and the only reason I was interested in joining DSA to begin with was because I saw, a shit like after October 7th, I know a lot of DSA comrades actually left because of DSA's failure to respond adequately to the situation. But we've kind of been rejoining because we see and we welcome a shift towards Palestine solidarity.
Yeah, like I said in my chapter in Denver, we struggled to pass a statement in solidarity with Palestine that some of our electeds didn't like, and ultimately showed that they weren't showed the extent and the limit of their solidarity and where it ended by condemning us when we put out the statement. And the statement, if you go and look at it today, probably now it's probably even more like written a little bit more mildly mannered than we probably should have written at the time. But that statement was a pretty big catalyst for welcoming in a lot of people in the community into Denver DSA to understand that like Denver DSA is a core partner in building the Colorado Palestine Coalition, and it has been like one of our biggest projects over the course of time in the Palestine Coalition. That didn't form in the wake of October 7th. That was something that started back in 2021. So we've been doing this work and really understand that Palestine is really a litmus test for a lot of people as well as electeds in terms of like the extent of their solidarity. And if they're willing to throw Palestinians under the bus, you're like damn well sure there's going to be other things that follow after that they're going to be willing to throw under the bus.
We just need to be willing to throw them under the bus.
I mean, considering how little these people give a shit about DSA, like it really wouldn't be throwing them under the bus. It would just be like, you know what? You don't fuck with us. You don't want shit to do with us. Okay, then fuck you too. You're not getting any more of our free labor. You're not getting any more of our clout. You're not going to be able to run around doing these stupid, horrible things while calling yourself a socialist. That's fucking embarrassing.
It is.
Yeah. Now that brings us to the voter guide.
Got a resolution on that too, if you want me to hear me talk about that.
Yeah, but so the voter guide, y'all, again, very leftist. So, locals first, DSA, which Liberation has endorsed. That's literally one of you guys' resolutions, and that's dope. Basically, give the locals more money and enable them to organize and build up stuff according to their own concrete conditions, as opposed to like everything just being siloed in at the national level towards a multilingual DSA. Take the fight to the rural front, which I interviewed the author of a couple weeks ago. DSA for Multiracial Liberation, which is the AfroSuck and Emerge drafted amendment to R10, which would basically gut AfroSuck. For a strike-ready labor for an arms embargo. Preparing for May Day 2028. Cyan actually had a question. Well, Cyan can speak for themselves about the May Day 2028 strike. Like, do we actually think that that's gonna like bear fruit?
I think how we have approached it, like our resolution, which is building a united front towards 2028, we had like you'll notice there's not really like a labor plank in it. There's a bunch of different planks within that resolution. But some comrades in the we reached out to the comrades in Bread and Roses, and they kind of were already working on the labor plank, so we just let them stick to that and focused on other aspects in our resolution. But the one thing that like we approached differently in our resolutions from like other caucuses is not necessarily like being prescriptive and creating structures before we're ready for them. Like a lot of it is oriented towards base building and like building towards an eventual goal. And a lot of people have seen the call for like the unification of union contract renegotiation dates to be May Day 1st, 2028 as like a guiding, a hopeful future to like aim towards. So a lot of like what we are doing with building a united front towards 2028 is both in terms of like the presidential election as well as May Day is like building a base to actually confront power meaningfully, like mass-led worker power to confront and like upend a lot of these systems rather than just creating structures and hoping. We are putting forth resolutions that are hoping to like build and solidify a base to like achieve these outcomes.
Gumbo, how you doing?
Well, my stuff finally started working. I'm driving down I-10, so I lost service for a bit there.
No worries.
Oof. That's why you
I like
kept
how you
leaving
changed
it
your
coming back.
profile picture multiple times.
Oh yeah, well I had the proud to be in DSA metalhead like WWE T-shirt, and then I found this Lennon one, and I thought I would go with that.
I like that one too.
As a
Definitely-
fellow Texan, I-10s are hell.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I was stuck on I-10 in Houston for a solid fucking. I'm in Louisiana now. Also, for the stream, I'm Gumbo. I use they, them pronouns. I'm one of the co-chairs of Austin DSA. I'm not, I guess, technically a member of Springs and Revolution. I'm a member of the Communist Caucus and a Springs of Revolution fellow traveler, I guess you could say.
Ooh.
We passed a local anti-Zionist resolution in Austin DSA in March of 2024. And ours was amended slightly, so it mostly focuses on elected officials, which the chapter currently has one person on city council in Austin, one person on the school board, and one as a district attorney. And then we're going to be running for a seat at the county and a seat with the Justice of the Peace, which is a county level board that oversees mostly
A DA,
tenant
wow.
struggles.
Wait, y'all have a DSA member in Texas?
Yeah, his name is Jose Garza. He has been the district attorney for, this is his second term now, and he ran pretty heavily on not enforcing any drug or nonviolent related minor offenses, really overhauling a lot of the diversion programs that keep people out of jails entirely, and focusing heavily on domestic violence and other interpersonal violence, and finding ways to resolve those without having to resort to the carceral system.
That sounds a lot like Chesa Bourdain in San Francisco.
They're very similar. They faced very similar attacks from the right. So we had to fight pretty hard to get him to win the primary election last year, because Elon Musk and that Kind Bar guy were backing Democrat opponent in the primary, who was basically just a fucking right-wing ghoul, but with a different label.
Yeah, that's a pretty common grift. Like if there's a Democratic socialist holding a seat, and you run as a Democrat that is not a Democratic socialist, then you will literally get a shitload of money dumped on you, and you might even win. That's what happened with the guy that beat Jamal Bowman in New York, and that's what happened with Wesley Bell. Like Wesley Bell was literally just an empty fucking suit, and he saw an opportunity, and he saw AIPAC dumping millions and millions of dollars on these races. He's like, they're gonna buy me a Congress seat, and that's exactly what they did. That's why, like,
You should
whenever we
run.
talk about
Run as a
why, so I can
Democrat.
so I can get assassinated.
But yeah, speaking of base building and some of the SOR platform, Austin has a campaign. We call it Austin Against Apartheid, but it is essentially a descendant of the No Appetite for Apartheid campaigns that were pioneered by the Palestine Solidarity Working Group, and would get explicit support in R22 for fighting anti-Zionist DSA. So we've used Austin Against Apartheid since December of 2023, almost explicitly as a base building campaign. We have roughly 30 apartheid-free stores in Austin, but we've also brought up that many or more comrades in the chapter. You know, having something concrete and very immediate and tangible for people to work on has been a real draw, because that, combined with passing the anti-Zionist resolution at the local level, has repaired a lot of our relationships with PYM in Central Texas. And so we are all part of the Austin for Palestine Coalition, and we're able to, people come to DSA for many reasons, but a lot of people, especially in the last 2 years of genocide, have come to DSA because they are horrified by what's happening in Gaza, and then look for a socialist organization to join. They come to DSA, and we're able to actually involve them in stuff. And then through this campaign we go through 6-month cycles where the campaign gets renewed at a general meeting every 6 months. We're able to bring up new leadership in that campaign who learn how to run things, chair meetings, keep lists, that kind of stuff, and then can go on to do other things. So my fellow co-chair actually came to our chapter through that campaign and is now co-chairing the chapter with me. So it's been a huge boon to the chapter. It's been a way for us to really build out on the ground solidarity with Palestine. And it's also for that reason that Springs of Revolution and myself personally very firmly opposed the amendment to R22, which would gut a lot of the accountability stuff. So it guts anything to do with, accountability or potential expulsion processes for people found to be providing material support to the genocide state. And it also cuts support for chapters doing No Appetite for Apartheid campaigns, which...
That's pretty par for the course for the right. It's like, because like you said, there was like a national campaign that was organized by the left, many of which are you comrades, to pass versions of MSR12 at the local level. And it was sort of the rightists' MO to be like, oh, you submitted this? Let's just tack on a bunch of dumb shit to basically turn it into a strongly worded letter. And it was like, why would you, like, the thing that really hung up on is like the expulsion clause. Like they're acting as if there's going to be purges and we're going to get rid of everybody. And like you look at the chapters that have actually passed these resolutions, nobody's gotten purged. Nobody's gotten like abused or driven out of the organization. It's entirely a canard. It's entirely made up. And like my thought is, like, for example, if this was about racism towards black people or racism towards Latino people, there would not be all this controversy. Like you would not have people appending amendments to resolutions that oppose anti-blackness. But again, because Palestine is the compass, because the Palestinian people are actually engaged in struggle on all fronts to liberate themselves, that drives a lot of comfortable social democrats in the United States crazy, because it shows up the banality and weakness of their politics. Like Palestine is teaching us how to fight. Palestine is teaching us where political power comes from. And if you are vested in opposing that type of struggle, of course you're not going to want that being the line of your organization. Of course you're going to fight against it, because it's in your material interest to oppose decolonization. And that's the root of that. Like that's the root of this resolution. That's the root of everything that we do around anti-imperialism. Like, do we want to end this empire or not? You cannot have it both ways. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot be like, oh, we want a more comfortable empire where the global south gets a little bit more of the produce that they make and we take a little less. Same thing. Like, there's also another resolution that seriously tries to drag DSA into running a candidate in the 2028 presidential campaign. Like, when you don't have anti-imperialism as your compass, you tend to forget that America is an empire. Why would we want a member of our organization as president of the most insidious empire in human history? Like, having one of us be mayor of New York and technically the leader of the world's fourth largest army, the NYPD. That's enough contradictions. Now you want to be president of the whole fucking kit and caboodle too? Well, for one, such candidate would lose, and two, like, these people need to read State and Revolution. The state is not just something that you can grab hold of and turn towards socialist purposes. The state has to be destroyed. This polity has to be destroyed, and it has to be. Well, you cannot just take hold of the United States and leave bourgeois country in existence.
Gonna go down kicking and fighting.
Yeah,
just
because
get
you can't just vote in systemic change. Otherwise, it's not systemic change.
And you have to consider, like, look at the propaganda that the system props up and
Co-opt Palestine because it's in your face. You see the videos, you see the destruction, you see the fighting back. There's no way for them to liberalize that.
Yeah, I mean, Gumbo lost service again, but I mean, they've certainly tried to co-opt Palestine. Like, they will promote, like, the Palestinian Liberation Movement has several lines. And of course, they're going to promote the line that's most amenable to the imperialist bourgeoisie. They're going to promote, like, they'll condemn Hamas. They'll say some milquetoast shit like, "Oh my God, what Israel is doing is horrible." I mean, well, no, but they don't even mention Israel. They mention Netanyahu. It's as if, like, we just need an Israeli. Yeah, we just need an Israeli Bernie Sanders, and everything will be good, and the Palestinians will bend the knee and thank us.
Just look at what Canada did.
Yeah, the thing is, like, they've tried those methods. You know what happened? They got killed by the Israelis. Like, a lot of people don't understand the fact that Israel does not want Palestinians as anything besides a slave labor force, and now they don't even want them as that. Like, Israel wants the remainder of land that is occupied by Palestinians, and their goal is to either drive them all into exile or kill them all. That's why they're bombing civilian areas. That's why they are locking everybody up. That's why they're doing all this shit, because they do not want Palestinians around. They do not want Palestinians occupying land. It's really that simple. So, of course, you cannot reform that shit away. All right. So, your platform, or y'all's platform, talks about how revolutionary springs throughout history teaches that momentary ruptures do not, on their own, ready the working class to seize control of their lives and their futures. I really like this critique of spontaneity, because a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, all we have to do is riot until we take the White House." No, that doesn't work like that, because riots and rebellions can also be co-opted. Look at what happened in Ferguson. Look at what happened in Minneapolis with the George Floyd uprising. So really like the fact that it's against spontaneity, and it also promotes disciplined political organization, because, as the platform goes on to say, even most ambitious movements buckle under the weight of repression. To endure, we must build resilience. Most of our work happens during the quiet moments between the ruptures, building from below, neighbor to neighbor, taking on the long-term struggle from which a new world may spring. So, like how y'all are basically low-key calling for a cadre party without saying it, because you don't want people being fucking weird. Also, Gumbo, you mentioned that you're from Austin.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
I think
didn't
that
like
scared
that question.
I scared Gumbo. No, I was going to ask them, have they ever run across the fucking Red Guards?
I'm curious too.
Yeah, in Austin, everybody has a Red Guards horror story. So, Andrew, do y'all think that y'all can actually, like, make a good showing at the election this year? I hope y'all do, but, like, objectively.
I'm really hopeful. I did also want to touch on one thing that you brought up a little while back, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Is the notion of, like, the anti-Zionist resolution creating purges, as you mentioned, like chapters across the country have created this. A lot of people that had Zionist sympathies did leave DSA in the wake of October 7th, and statements we put out, like whining that we didn't condemn Hamas, and other things that, like, we weren't standing in solidarity with the settler colonial state of Israel. it hasn't created purges in any of these chapters. Like you said, it's just a canard. In to me, how I've always viewed it, and like the reason why my chapter, who created helped create the Colorado Palestine Coalition back in 2021, is like it really shows and expresses our solidarity with the Palestine movement and ensures to them that our organizing space is going to remain a safe organizing space for them to collaborate with. Because obviously a lot of the work that we do with our coalition partners in the Colorado Palestine Coalition, we do a lot of work in Denver DSA. We wouldn't want to put any of the work that we're doing with the Palestine Solidarity Movement locally to come in jeopardy because we decide that we think it's okay for Zionists to be in DSA. So to me, it's really on the like core principle of like Zionism is a bigoted and racist ideology, and it should not be welcome in DSA under the same auspices of like racism, like bigotry, transphobia, queerphobia, etc.
Nazism.
Imperialism.
Shouldn't be allowed in like our organization, because the people that we most closely organize with, like on our projects, we want to ensure that they're safe, and we want, and it's also an expression to the broader community that it is a safe, like if you're an anti-Zionist, this is a safe organizing space for you to organize with, and we will actually organize on the same lines of struggle that like the like very much so like the Arab and Muslim community is organizing along. So really it's an expression of solidarity. In it's dumb that purges get mentioned. That was something that was brought up in our chapter as well, but it's pretty clear also that it's just creating like a foundation that this goes against our like core values and principles as an organization.
Yeah, well said. It's necessary to fully exercise the ghost of Michael Harrington from DSA. It's like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say on the fact of like successes that you think we might that we think we have is I think we're gonna be pretty successful. I think we have a really popular platform that we're bringing to DSA that many people like Ahmed and Luisa. They had a really great interview on Rev Left Radio talking about the platform. A lot of people like had comments on the Patreon as well as on some of the social media posts that were shared about that episode of like, I was skeptical of DSA and now I want to join DSA because of these are the types of leaders that are trying to lead the organization. So a lot of our resolutions, I think like all five of our resolutions when we first introduced the platform made it into like the top 10 or 12 of signature count. I think like 3 of them were in the top 5 of signature count. So it showed that there was a pretty wide support for the platform prior to like delegations being involved to, or like delegates being involved to like pick what resolutions they wanted to on the delegate survey. So I think we're going to have a lot of success. Obviously, the terrain of organizing has changed in DSA, of which multiple members of the Springs of Revolution have been a part of that organizing that has really pushed the change in terrain and organizing in DSA, where we see a lot more chapters taking up campaigns like No Appetite for Apartheid, taking up Chevron divestment or mask off MERS campaigns, and like really pushing on these like boundary lines of Palestine solidarity, which is also just like interwoven with the broader struggle for anti-imperialism. So the organizing that we have done, Springs of Revolution, to really like push the line on Palestine solidarity, we think obviously you can see in our platform, we'll show at convention our success with it being like a popular platform and a lot of like members rallying around supporting it in getting it signed on, things of that nature. So I think we're going to be pretty successful. I'm very hopeful that we get all 5 people elected to the NPC and like 4 other incredibly great leaders that I'm excited to serve with.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you serving with them. So do y'all actually plan on becoming a caucus at some time in the future?
It's like really something that we like think about. Mainly, like including myself. We're just like kind of thinking about the work that needs to be done. Like the future of Springs of Revolution in terms of like what it chooses to be as an formation hasn't really been thought of. We're just more so like really entrenched, doing the work, talking with delegates across the country that are running for national convention to support the platform and build out popular support for the platform and the NPC candidates. We're like on calls with delegates. I would say like three or four a week. Really, so that's not like it's probably something we'll talk about in the future. But I think for a while it will in really what and how it came to be, it will probably continue to be like a unifying force. I'm very much looking forward to, if I get elected to the NPC, like being able to trying to be like a unifying force for caucuses across like the left of DSA to work on priorities and principles and where we align and like struggle on where we disagree and talk about like our differing visions on how we achieve socialism in the United States.
Okay. Where would you define yourself as being politically? Just you as a person, like Marxist Leninist,
Me as a person,
Maoist?
I don't. I would probably like ascribe similarly to like I've just been doing the work. I like personally haven't read a whole lot of theory, but like I think my lived experience that I talked about in my like delegate survey that you can see, or like delegate questionnaire that you can see on the discussion board, is really that like first and foremost, like I'm very principled in my politics. And I think like the top of the line thing for me is anti-imperialism. I've like, if I had to choose a label, labels aren't necessarily like important to me. I'd probably say communist. But like I said, a lot of my orientation towards ideology has been informed by like the organizing work I've done, as well as my lived experience. Like I grew up in rural Wisconsin. My mom worked in a factory and sustained like multiple life-changing injuries. My stepdad was a union sheet metal worker that like struggled during the collapse, the like financial collapse in 2008. We were poor, but like not, I won't say like incredibly poor, still able to take like summer vacation, things like that. But not in any way were they able to like help me with college and stuff like that. So like I'm a first generation college student. My generation of my family is the first generation. Go to college. Prior to that, we were just like dairy farmers in Wisconsin.
So you're that mythical white working class that everybody talks about.
Maybe, I don't really know. But
you approach
I
the
think,
Kai wrong.
Yeah. I could say the other thing is like a really foundational memory for me is like in second grade, I sat on the curb watching the like Army Reserves unit in my hometown, which represented like 1% of the population of my like hometown of 2,500 people, go to Iraq, like be one of the first units sent to Iraq. Obviously, as like a little kid, I didn't really know what to think fully, other than like why are my family members being sent across the globe?
The commanding officers of this Army Reserve unit, they called up Bush and like, you know what? We want to be the first to go to Iraq.
I don't necessarily think they were like the first. I think it's just more something like the poverty draft of like who are the people we cared the least about in this country? Let's go send some like honkies in Wisconsin to go first. Which I think probably like resonates with a lot of people that like there are small towns in the South. Reserves units or National Guard units were probably some of the like first to be mobilized. But like over time reflecting on that, I like understood obviously the like propaganda of like why we were called out of school and like as kids and why we're all there like waving American flags to like support this. And like obviously disgusted by the fact that like my safety in the United States is predicated on like the detriment in taking like the death in the abolishment of another person's, like another child's safety similar to mine, just across the globe.
The thing is, like, that's a myth. Like, Iraq really posed no threat to America's safety. Like, if we left Iraq the fuck alone. As a matter of fact, our constant meddling in all areas of the world that actually brings the shit here. Like, why did 9/11 happen? Why did these terrorist attacks and other bullshit happen? Like, chickens come home to roost. You can't just sow wild seeds all over the world and not expect to reap the whirlwind. Like, people hate America not because they hate the American people, but because they hate the fucked up shit that America does. Like, if you've got bombs that are made in America by union workers dropping on your fucking town every night, of course you're going to be mad at the people who keep sending the bombs. That's just common sense.
Absolutely. I think what I'm trying to get to is like the propaganda of like, it's so much like propagandized that like our safety is dependent on like bombing the rest of the world in this country, which like obviously we need to do a better job as socialists and educators to educate the masses that isn't true. And like wouldn't be a surprise at all if like Palestinians hate Americans. Because like less than an hour and a half, they're making like munitions and white phosphorus that have been used in Gaza in the past 2 years up in Fort Collins. In like they see the like writing on munitions that don't deploy that like made by Raytheon, made by Lockheed in the U.S. So incredibly frustrating. I think to me, like I don't I love my next door neighbor as much as I love the person across the globe, and I think everybody should have the same rights to like self-fulfillment and self-actualization. And the number one pathway to that is to end the like greatest threat to that in the world, which is the United States.
Agree with you
Jesus,
there.
man, you're starting to sound like a fucking. You're starting to sound a bit like a third worldist.
I was gonna say at first if it didn't exactly sound like that, but then we got to the dismantle USA part, and I'm like, yeah,
I fuck with any slate that says death to America.
same.
So, so yeah, you're going to be at a convention, right? Well, I guess you're running for NPC, so of course you're going to be there. Andrew didn't hear me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We all have the right to dissociate on stream every now and then. So you're going to be at a convention next week, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
I was supposed to be at like my chapter's having like a panel tonight talking to delegates and stuff like that, but I opted out because I have like a cold and stuff, and I didn't want to get all of our delegates sick before convention. So happy to be here.
Depending on what caucus the delegates are from, I would love to make them sick. I'm joking. Don't spell me.
BRG wants biological warfare.
Hey.
Protracted biological war.
Lil Greasy says, nobody is watching this on the real. Who says on the real anymore? Stop using fake ebonics. Everyone is watching Hazaldin. This AACP is the future. This is the past. And why the fuck are you here commenting on? Go watch your Lebanese midget.
Why did this guy...
Fuck out of here, man.
Why are they here? Who's wasting their time watching ACP?
It's all right.
I don't fucking know.
Short kings need followers too.
Yeah, go watch the Lebanese manlet. And people are like, you should go on and you should debate him. I'm like, if I wanted to get yelled at by a 5 foot tall Lebanese dude, I'd go to my fucking Lebanese restaurant, order shawarma, and put ketchup on it.
You'd have to do 3 lines before talking to that guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, he needs to leave the Captagon alone. Anyways, so I don't know. What do y'all think, Gang of Four? I fucks with Springs of Revolution.
Yeah,
I fuck with them heavy.
Better too. Yeah.
Solid platform. Even if I don't agree with what individual members say politics wise, like the overall slate and foundation,
You're definitely our ally here in Liberation.
Yeah. I do have one question, and it's more so what are some of the pitfalls that you've run into organizing and what did you learn in overcoming those?
I mean, one of the like frustrating things that I find throughout organizing is like I often overcommit myself and get frustrated at the lack of work that other people are willing to contribute and like pitch in as much as I am. But I understand that like everybody has their constraints and stuff like that. Like I know personally I struggle with depression, and sometimes that makes picking up organizing on some days a little bit harder than others. But another thing that is like kind of difficult is it's really difficult to like build as an organizer. It is difficult to build up leaders because not everyone like. Not everyone has like a willingness per se to just like pick up and have like a very strong self-investment in organizing work. So like it's pretty difficult to make a lot of those like more personal relationships with people and like build them up over time. Ahmed is really good about that. I like in some regard look at Ahmed as like a mentor because he started the Palestine Working Group in Denver, and I got involved because I attended the BDS Working Group summer school, and in high school I had a friend who was Palestinian, so like I had some like baseline connection to understanding that struggle, but I didn't have full involvement. And he like took time to have one-on-one conversations with me and like hear me out like as an equal about things I thought about, and also suggested like ways to approach organizing to like make things easier. And I've tried to take that perspective as much as possible in organizing with other members in my chapter to help build them up to be leaders, to be able to do organizing work. Does that answer your question? I know sometimes I ramble a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just like organizing.
Sometimes
all we do is rant.
Yeah, organizing's fucking hard, and it takes a lot of investment. And all like DSA members are doing it, and I would like to see like continue towards the future of seeing DSA members of like being just it being volunteer member led, because we're much more connected to the struggle. Like for instance, I drive for Amazon, and I've had to take a lot of delegate calls, like on the road delivering. And it's a physically intensive job, but I don't have a whole lot. I don't get obviously like a lot of fulfillment from it because organizing there is a little bit difficult, but being able to do more fulfilling organizing work is what keeps me going. And where was it going with that? So sorry. I try to take like an understanding that there's other people in our organization. They also have jobs, personal things going on, that we are all, but at the end of the day, we are like committed towards a similar struggle, which is one of the like reasons I'm grateful to like be a part of shaping DSA towards the like future of this country that I would like to live in.
We love people that love the work and do the work.
Yeah, I want to see you on NPC.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew
I think
up.
I think I might bump Cliff down and replace him with you.
I was say I've been
I'm
working
not gonna
since
do that.
I've been working since I was a goddamn child. Like when I grew up on the farm, I had a paid job when I was like 14, 15, and I worked like full time through college. I worked like at least 25 hours through most of high school. And like my commitment to socialism is because like I don't want other people to have to do this shit. I want children to be able to be children and not have to fucking work. I want like people to be able to go through college and like learn and enjoy the world, and like be like have more experiences with people from different races, ethnicities, class backgrounds, etc. Hopefully we move to a future we could abolish class, but that is like my commitment. I have been working, willing to do the work, and then so I'm like will continue to do the work because that is like my strong commitment towards socialism.
I fucks with it. A white person that actually knows what it's like to work for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how it's not abstract for you. Like it's actually something like, why do you Like, why are you a socialist? People ask you that, and he's like, because I've been working since I was a fucking teenager. Like, common sense will lead you to be like, you know what? I don't want this shit sucks. Why am I working constantly throwing my fucking back out to make some motherfucker richer? And yeah, if you've got any sense of self respect, you'll pretty much end up being a socialist. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
For sure.
Yeah, and I'll just add on that just a little bit. So sorry. Like, this is like dumb and probably a little bit more emotional than I need. Is like one of my like people that has like guided me a little bit of like my worth ethic is my mom. Like, having raised multiple kids, working in a factory her entire life, and like sustaining multiple life-changing injuries at work, like that's not a fucking life anyone should have to live. And I really want to like build towards a future where workers don't have to live that. And I do see a lack of like people within our movement and throughout the United States of not having of like a pushing against or not having a willingness to accept an identity as a worker. I am like by like no means.
Americans don't want to be workers because they associate working class with a failure in life. Like, oh, you're a 50-year-old piece of shit. You're a 50-year-old man and you're still working at a warehouse or you're still working at McDonald's. Well, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why didn't you go to college? Why aren't you a landlord now? That's how the typical American thinks. Like, like you have other countries, like you have countries in Europe, they're proud of being working class.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
here in the United States, it's basically like, oh, I'm just on my sidetrack until I'm rich. That's why everybody has a fucking grift or a hustle or something like that, because everybody's chasing absentmindedly after as much money as you can get, and no matter how they get it, whether it be by scamming or selling drugs or doing some other screwy shit. And yeah, that's what America is. Like, to be a worker in America, you're going to be considered a failure. Like, you go to when you go to your college guidance counselor in high school, it's like, oh, you need to go to college. You know, well, at least that's what they told us millennials. Like, you need to go to college. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? 35 years old working in a factory? Like, what's wrong with working in a factory?
Yeah, I get a lot of weird looks from people because I enjoy my work. I enjoy my job and I enjoy what I do. And I won't have anything going on. I kind of can't wait to go to work. And they're like, why?
What's wrong with you? You need to go to the grippy. It's time to go. Let's call it the Grippy Suck Hotel. This man actually loves being a mechanic.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, get to fix shit.
Yeah, I get it. You get to and you get the satisfaction of seeing a fucking a banger of a car that was brought in, and you work on it, you fix it, you baby it, and then there's nothing more satisfying than turning the key in ignition, watching it start back up. So I get it.
Yeah.
Under socialism, you will be forced to write poetry.
He's the
I
organic
already do that for free.
He's the organic intellectual. So, Andrew, is there anything that you want to wrap up with, or do comrades have further questions?
I do have one question. Yeah. So obviously there's the 28 May Day strike, which of course is still a ways away, but given that it's mostly organized by United Auto, but has support from, say, the teachers union, what is your other connection, if you will, to the union movement, or your Springs of Revolution's plan for working with unions or labor organizing?
I will send you all a link that is just for DSA members. That is for our United Front towards 2028. And how we approach that is realizing that UAW has made the call for the consolidation of contract alignments on May 1st, 2028. But our vision is trying to engage engage productively with partners across various different lines, like different left organization, different labor unions, and different labor liberation movements like the Palestine Solidarity Movement, bringing them together to work in a broader coalition, because a lot of our organizing and a lot of our our platform and a lot of the organizing that various members like Francesca, Ahmed, Luisa, and Nell running on the slate with me has done is not just on kind of these like principles of the class struggle solely being like an economic thing. It's also more so like there are various different struggles that people face in their like various different struggles that people in different communities face in their lives that radicalize them and orient them towards wanting a better future, whether it's like police brutality, imperialism, and things of that nature as like catalyzing things that pull people to different radicalization points. So that's why we're really trying to like our building United Front towards 2028. Like a lot of the lines of like building that United Front is like trying to organize with different left-wing organizations, because DSA isn't the only socialist or left-wing organizations in the country, working with different labor unions to like pull them into the struggle, as well as like different community-based organizations and liberation movements to pull them into the struggle, because we're really vested in not just working with labor unions in our local communities as organizers, but also working with like mutual aid groups, like in very like strongly rooted community organizations that actually have like a firm grasp and understanding of like the issues that face their community. Because sometimes it's not like the biggest boot on someone's neck isn't the fact that they don't make enough money. Sometimes it could be the fact that they get harassed by the police every time they are trying to get to their job.
I have one more question too, if we have time for that or no.
Yeah.
All right. How can we as Liberation Caucus work with y'all, work beside y'all? I believe in pretty much everything you guys stand for. Just like Kiva said, I mean, I don't agree with everyone's individual positions, but I agree with you guys completely. I just want to know how or if we can work beside you guys.
How you all can work, as well as like other people that are on stream watching, is like if you are a convention delegate coming to convention, we have you can find more about us on SOR4. SORDSA.org is our website. On there, there's a form that you can fill out if you are running for convention to fill out. That just like gives us information so we can reach out to you, get in contact, so we can like struggle at convention to push this platform and push our NPC candidates over the line. And then in the future, after passing some of these resolutions, because some of these resolutions, like the fight fascist state repression and ICE, are on the consent agenda, is like be willing to be involved in DSA at a local and national level to help build out these campaigns to like toe the line specifically for fight fascist state repression in ICE, is like toe the line of abolition, and really like pushing that forward in the local work that you're doing and helping us build out the campaign.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, so much for having me.
It's great
I
having
look forward to seeing you and talking to you more at convention, Andrew, along with the rest of you comrades.
Report back to us.
For sure.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
You can't tell people in other formations to report back to us. Jesus
I was talking
Christ.
to you.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I won't be too drunk during these conversations. For sure, I'll report back.
Oh, the other thing I forgot to shout out before I hop off is SOR4DSA is where you can find us on all social media, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. But I don't think we're really posting on Blue Sky anymore because most of the
nobody posts on Blue Sky.
The fuck is a Blue Sky?
But old liberals.
These guys are smog filled.
But thanks so much for having me. Appreciate chatting with you and like sharing some about me in the slate.
No problem. All power to the people. Good luck.
Great seeing you.